Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today, spawning on the west side of the map, playing in pink, we've got Louis MT playing as the Macedonian dynasty. And up against him today, spawning in on the east side of the map in green, we've got Lucifron7 playing as the House of Lancaster. Welcome everyone to a very green dry Arabia. We're on the tropical rainforest biome, and boy, does it actually look really nice. A total reskin, I guess, in a way. Well, it's a biome, isn't it? So it's but it's looking very nice for the new DLC for Dynasties of the East. But we've got one of the new civilizations versus one of the old. Well, now what's curious is that we have had some changes to the House of Lancaster, so that's certainly going to be worth looking into. We've got a change to the manor system. But before we get there, what's pretty impressive about the Macedonian dynasty, we've got the Varangian camp. You're able to get the Varangian units when they do die in combat. They spawn with reinforcements. And the kind of cool thing is it does increase your maximum population to get your civilization going. At least I believe it did. Or it doesn't come up in the user interface. So maybe not, maybe not. Either way, with the House of Lancaster, we're going to be potentially seeing a bit of a change in how their economy works in the early game. But perhaps not as much as we initially thought. Because the manors, they have been nerfed in a way, in the sense that they actually don't produce as many resources per minute, that is. So at the moment, with the new patch, it's going to be generating 10 wood and 30 food per minute, but it actually generates more food and more wood, depending on how many villages you have nearby. So there is a bit of an influence in the area that it has, and then when you're in the influence with the villagers, you get more of those resources. So you can actually eventually have enough villagers to get more food and wood than you normally would by a standard previous manor, what it used to give you. Having said that, because you have to now spread them out, it makes it a little bit more tricky to get the full maximum potential from them. Because as you'll see, when the first manor is placed, it'll have a circular ring around it like this does, and you can't build another one. Like, basically you can't double count villagers, so villagers can only be ascribed to one of the manors. That means you have to separate them out and can't clump them together. On the other side of things, whilst it's the Abbey of the Kings for the House of Lancaster, we've got the Macedonian dynasty going with the Grand Winery. Obviously, very familiar faces as to the old civilization from the Byzantines, but this, in fact, instead of boosting up olive oil, which of course the Macedonian dynasty do not get, they will just be getting faster gathering of food, including sheep. The Abbey of the Kings potentially could be seeing some of the lords pop out for them. Been a pretty strong build for them, and we do have villagers on stone, most likely looking to get some of the manors. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel. Of course, we've been casting a lot, showcasing a lot of new civilizations. I've certainly been enjoying it. I hope you guys have been too, and a special shout out, of course, to the YouTube channel members and the Twitch subscribers. Thank you. It's been a pretty cool few days for me actually on the channel. Things have been growing pretty well. And I think a lot of you guys have been enjoying the content, so I'm pretty happy about that. I have been working on a few other projects recently, a couple of other YouTube channels, but we are back with Age of Empires 4, especially because, of course, the new DLC and lots of new changes. There we go, the Abbey of the Kings have been built, and, well, there we go, Lords of Lancaster will be queued on up. What's kind of curious is to see how they go up against maybe early Varangian guards, because that's potentially an option for the Byzantine, well, I was going to say Byzantine, but the Macedonian dynasty, of course. Going to go for the Varangian arsenal and just boost up the, you just saw the little speckles of silver on the ground there. Pop into the mining camp. That's because we will be getting silver for the Macedonians. Right, there's the first lord popping out already. Scout going with him. And here's the first manor. One other thing to talk about is this actually is now a drop-off point. So you actually save a bit of wood. Considering, you don't have to drop a mill now. You just save 50 wood in that regard. So in one ways it has been sort of nerfed, but in some ways it just, the kind of role has slightly changed. Also can increase your population by 10. But I think really the big changes for the manors is that in the early situations where you just have one manor, because there's 11 villages here, I mean, you're going to get a solid amount of food and wood from this. Probably just about the same as you would from a previous manor, if not more. But this is where it matters, right? So this second manor will just not get as much resources. So putting them together so close, the it just overlaps here, so you're not going to count these villages twice. Whereas before, you could just place manors next to each other and it would give you a solid amount of resources. So it looks like you're going to get a bit of a feudal age play here with the lords popping forward, as well as a stable being placed. There's the Varangian stronghold, the main kind of production building for the Macedonian dynasty. Gets access to all the Varangian units. And actually, as it happens, you can actually place arrow-slits in it, which is kind of nifty. Could see some aggressive strategies with that. But of course, we're not going to see that today because against the House of Lancaster, they do still get short bows, so the villagers could fight them off. Interestingly, go for gold. Now, we have been seeing a lot of plays for Fast Castle. I think we're going to struggle to do that against the House of Lancaster because their feudal age can be pretty strong. Especially considering how much has been committed to this. We've got the Hobbler coming out from the stable. Archery range as well, so going to get Yeoman and, yeah, Lord of Lancaster as well. I think really we've been noticing the powerhouse of the Macedonian dynasty in the Castle Age, mostly because it comes down to one particular unit, and that's the Ridari. They're pretty expensive, but once you get there, they can do so much for you. So 130 food, 110 gold. But the big thing is that, well, kind of like the sergeants for the Knights Templar, they've got a ranged melee attack. And you might be thinking, what does that even mean? Well, they can throw axes. Every 30 seconds, they get a charge that is just an activatable ability, kind of like sort of thing. And they just chuck in the axes. The axes, rather. And that's a great way to just kite your enemy. But it does melee damage, so it's great against archers, right? You can wipe them out without actually being up close and personal with them. Just kind of a bit of distance, chuck the axes, and decimate ranged units. A couple of the lords. Oh, this one is not torching. It's a bit lazy. I was kind of curious is how does Louis react to this aggression? It's going to be walling up the east side. Could potentially get an outpost. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there is the outpost. A bit far forward than I would have expected, actually, because it's not underneath the town centre range. And Lucifer spots this. He spots it with the scout, and he immediately sends his army. Now, to be fair, he does have some Varangian guards here, Louis, but I don't know if there's enough. He might actually lose some villagers. I suspect he will. He's dragging some back. The outpost will go up in the end. He did rush it with a lot of villagers at the end of the day, but he has lost 2 villagers, and he's lost a lord as well, to be fair. So these Varangian guards are holding. And of course, the outpost peppering arrows now will be helpful. But having lost 2 villagers, I think that's probably a good thing for Lucifer. He's committing, though. Really, oh, he really is committing. Might need to back away for now. I don't think he can get too much further forward because of the town centre. The question is, where does he go behind this? I suspect he's going to go for the food on the map. There it is. On the that village getting absolutely chopped to pieces by that wolf. There's no way he loses it, right? I don't want to look at... Okay, he spots it. He spots it. But yeah, certainly going out to the map for the food is going to be important for him, so he can continue to pump out units. Blacksmith for some upgrades too, it seems. On the side of Louis, it's actually dropping some farms, would you believe? I think it does look like a castle age, right? Look at the food income, look at the gold. Yeah, he's really committing to it, which could be really scary, actually, because it doesn't really seem like Lucifer is letting up. Like, he's kind of just pumping out units. He's getting blacksmith techs as well. At least it was building a blacksmith. It was still not built, but it will get there. So it's going to be a bit tricky for Louis. He could potentially upgrade the Varangian stronghold with the defensive arrow slits here. Doesn't have enough of the stone for it, but... Yeah, he's definitely committing. He's got the food, hasn't got the gold just yet, but he's so close to that castle age. The castle age timing, pretty impressive, actually, as it happens. And this is going to be a bit crazy next sort of 5-10 minutes, right? It's really going to be about how the Macedonian dynasty can survive. It's going to be about how much damage the House of Lancaster can do. Interesting choice of placement, right? So the Golden Horn Tower, by the way, just so you know, it's a little bit more defensive than the Byzantine one. So it actually spawns crossbowmen, 4 at a time, I believe. And you can actually garrison inside the Golden Horn Tower. So it's a pretty cool, nifty landmark to get on the map and secure resources, just as he has. And this is an important point, right? There's deer, there's a relic, there's even a bit of gold, a bit of berries too. So a nice spot to hold on to. Question is, Lucifer, will he commit to like some rams? He might need to actually start getting some buildings down. For now, he's going to send his army forward. Going to get the steel arrow upgrade for his yeoman. Got a bit of everything, right? Some yeomen, hobbler, some of the lords of Lancaster. Question is, diving like this, will he be able to achieve enough? There's only a handful of Varangian guards, and these are early Varangian guards at that. He's taking up to the next stage, but he needs some time. He's going to fight with this. Now, the good thing for Luciferon, if he does clear up this army, this could potentially be upgraded, right, in the Castle Age. Trouble is, he's not there yet, Louis, so he's investing a lot of resources and not going to be able to upgrade these into Castle Age units if Luciferon decides to stay on in, and I think he will. He wants to clear this out. And he will clear it out. But the only issue is that, other than clearing out the army, it doesn't really seem like he's going to be able to achieve too much more. Having said that, he has killed 5 villagers overall in total, and that is not a small number in this stage of the game. He's going to try and find the villagers. He's going to find one. He gets the kill, but there we go. The garrisons come in. Now, 10 spots as well is more than enough. Yeomen need to back out of there. Can't be hiding underneath that at all. Has to back away, otherwise he'll lose them. And he's lost a lot of his army. But he's still got enough to hold the fort. The question is, does he go to the Castle Age himself? Or does he... I think he has to, right? Does he commit? Man, with Louis MT in the Castle Age, which is certainly something in his favour, but things are looking a bit rough for him in terms of army numbers. It's going to be kind of curious to see what Luciferon decides to do from here on out, right? He's got kind of a big decision here. Does he still continue persisting in the Feudal Age and try and do some more damage, or does he go to the next stage? It's got to be good to go to the Castle Age, right? He's done a bit of damage. He's killed 6 workers after all. It's a decent chunk. The only problem is, if he takes up too quickly without having a decent army size, the Castle Age Macedonian dynasty could pose him some big problems. I mean, these 3 yeomen posing some problems. He's a snipes a villager. Probably going to get another one, potentially. No, he's focusing on the early Varangian guard. Diving in here on the top, though. Attacking him from both sides. Runestones deployed. We'll give it a bit of movement speed, as you can see, for those Varangian guards. Pretty nifty. But, of course, you've got to stay in within range. So he's kind of walked out of that for now, at least. Luciferon still continues to pump out units. Wants to do it gradually, keep up the pressure. Just make sure that Louis MT doesn't get away with free resources gathered in. He's sniping a couple more villages, and what the heck's going on? These yeomen, they're diving right underneath both the tower and the outpost, or the tower and the town centre, and he just doesn't care. He's sniping all sorts of villages, and he's got enough to one-shot. This is absolutely insane. He does have Steeled Arrow, and Louis MT is losing way too many villagers here. 12 in total in the game. Down to 32. Bear in mind, not only does Luciferon have the villager lead, he's also got the manners working for him. Keeps sniping more and more. Now's got to be the time he feels confident to go to the next stage. Still, Louis, still a good chunk of change coming in. This number of villagers gathering gold. We've got the Castle Age version of the Varangian Guard. Back at home, it's going to be the White Tower. It's a sensible choice because he's probably feeling a little bit vulnerable, placing it right in front of the base. Now, he did lose quite a lot of yeomen, so bear that thought in mind. He did a lot of eco damage, but the pushback could be pretty hard here for the Macedonian dynasty. And behind this, he's looking to get some relics too, one in the bag or one being collected at least. So the rest of the yeomen will be sacrificed. They probably won't survive for too much longer, but if he can pick off just a couple more villagers, it'll be worth it for sure. So Luciferon on the deer. Now, food is something we have to think about, right? Because long-term economy, as you get to the Castle Age, is going to be a big deal. Not many farms out for either player, really. So that could come in, could slow the game down a bit. Got some lords here coming out for Luciferon. Castle Age has been achieved. And overall, with this all this considered, Luciferon should be miles ahead economy-wise. Yeah, he will lose the yeoman in the end. But one thing to bear in mind, he's kept Louis MT back at home in his base, right? So he's been able to survive until the Castle Age and now look to get some relics of his own. The huge amounts of economic lead. Although it doesn't seem to super reflect it in the gather rates. Right? I mean, to be fair, it's getting a decent chunk of wood extra, a decent chunk of gold. Trying to get the trap in with the woods, but the palisades doesn't quite achieve it. The game certainly has slowed down, but up until now, Luciferon definitely has been pulling a lead. Question is, what does he choose to go for? Looks like he's going to go for a couple of Earl's Guard, adding in some crossbows as well. That's probably just as well. Seeing as the Radari numbers starting to build up, 5 of them in total. And Louis just really focusing on food and gold. Those are the only 2 resources really on his mind at the moment. He's got a couple of crossbows added into the mix as well, so pretty mixed army. Possibly could get this relic. Although, no monk just on the way for Louis. It has got one though, Lucifer. Can't get it safely though with these 2 Radari hovering around. So some really important text coming in for the Macedonian dynasty. Getting the blade inlaying the cavalry specific upgrades from the Varangian arsenal. That's going to make the Radari even stronger. But going up against the English knights could be tricky. As long as he's got all these upgrades though, they're coming in slowly and surely. And if he could forward rump fire, that would be incredibly strong. It's pretty expensive, 1,000 silver, but it's not too far off it. Especially considering the income he's getting. So about another minute or so, he'll have more than enough. Be able to get an additional damage of 3 for the Radari. Oh, nice snipe there with the Radari. This is what makes them so good. Snipes at 2 cavalry without being anywhere near them, really. The thrown axes. It gives them a crazy element to this unit because you kind of, when you think about it, you have certain units have certain advantages. Obviously, ranged units, they've got the range, which is really good, but often they compensate with having low mobility. The Radari have got ranged attacks and mobility. I think the bigger thing as well is that Radari can focus on the ranged units, the enemy ranged units, and it can just bypass the enemy front line, right? Often with melee units, you can screen your ranged units behind and protect them by just having a front line. But actually when you're up against the Radari can often just ignore that front line. I wonder how that's going to pan out in this game. Of course, thrown axes is just sort of a one-hit activatable ability. It does obviously regenerate, so you can click it again, but you can only really kind of do it in one massive engagement. Unless the engagement's really long, you might get it for a second time. But sometimes that initial injection of taking out a crossbowman backline could be what wins the deal, wins the game, wins the fight. Just from trying to wall on up, but being held back by the Radari. There's a lot of villagers here, 2 outposts. Not quite enough to be able to hide them all. The game pace really has slowed down now. Let's see what they're up to. Yeah, Lucifer really wants the walls up. He is ahead economically, so he doesn't really have to rush anything. He should be aware that he's miles ahead considering how much damage he's done. He's got to be careful not to take any careless fights, and he should be in a good spot. That fight might be coming sooner than maybe you would want, because we've got some Radari on the field. Got a couple of crossbowmen defending. The Radari are moving out. Should get this knight. The thrown axes, snipe him down. Down he goes. Looks like both players are looking to group up together. If Lucifer can just trade evenly in the fights, he will be ahead overall in the game at least. Radari might just snipe out a couple of these crossbowmen. Maybe decides not to engage. Concerned it might be a bit of a bait. He's probably waiting for his thrown axes, right? It makes a lot of sense just to wait for that ability to come into play again before he engages once more. We'll snipe the monk there. Runestones gives him the extra movement speed. Lovely. Nicely done. He's going to run on out of there. Yeah, it seems to be mostly crossbowmen and man-at-arms here for Lucifer, although mostly knights actually, just a handful of man-at-arms and the lords. So knights, crossbows for the Lancasters. Radari, crossbows for the Macedonian dynasty. Kind of like for like in a way. Let's just see who wins. A little bit more numbers in terms of crossbows for Lucifer. I don't know if that's a good thing against Radari. I mean, there should be the counter unit, right? Radari can get the thrown axes on the enemy crossbows. Could be problematic. I get the feeling that if you're playing this composition as Lucifer, if you're going to engage, you just got to hit. Sometimes you're kind of inclined to keep your front line just in front of your back line and just sort of duck and dive and try and soak up the enemy ranged attack. But actually, The problem with doing that is that the Radari will be getting hits off, whereas your Lancers wouldn't be. Let's go for a bit of a sniping off reinforcements. Might not be a bad idea. He's starting to engage. Lancers jumping on in. Radari coming in the back. I'm kind of keen to see whether Louis MT just focuses on the crossbows with the Radari. And to be fair, he's doing it even with the melee attack. He's achieving it. The runestones get deployed, increases the attack speed, and makes such a big difference. Holy moly, this fight is not going good for Lucifer whatsoever. The Radari coming from the back on the right side, going to take out a lot of the crossbows. A huge engagement there for Louis, and he's clearing this army. And despite being so far ahead on economy, it won't matter because GG gets called and Lucifer taps out. The Radari did so much damage, and I gotta say, that unit is incredible, especially with the runestones and all the upgrades it comes with. That was a cracking game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, just to let you know, I do have another game featuring the Kipchak, a brand new unit for the Golden Horde. It's on the end card on your screen right now. Check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, take care, and see you next time.